Mr. Bang. Right, yeah, let's do that right away. Lied about
was
the
that?
chicken cricks.
That was a laser
Come
game.
on, man.
I like that one.
I am not saying another word till I get my chicken.
Welcome
Yeah,
back.
we're not doing that.
Yeah. Frank, grab him.
I lied. Yeah. Welcome to another installment.
We are definitely not drinking the same drinks we had last week or wearing the same clothes.
No, not at all.
Because
who does? Look, Dan has a new hat.
That's right.
Nothing.
You know, it's mind blowing. So much to the point where I can't even speak.
Well, don't. So, yeah, it's a new day. That didn't work.
Definitely things have happened.
Yeah.
You know, all those
Stuff
hockey
happens.
games that happened.
Yeah.
All that wood cutting.
The Red Wings are 12-0.
Yeah.
As of the last
really
15
crazy, considering
days.
they have a loss.
Yeah.
Before this.
15 days.
They won so much they went back and erased a loss.
It is January 28th, 2027.
Right. So we're sorry about the little hiatus.
Right.
That would have to have happened if it really were that date that Eric just listed. It's quite the break. Battery saver is on. I should plug it in. I haven't plugged my computer in since the last episode 4 years ago.
Right.
So Eric, why don't you get started?
That's a solid battery right there. Yeah. Did he say that he did? So as hockey rolls along, you know, you got, I don't know, there's some crazy shit that's already been happening.
Name 4.
We'll go back a little bit, you know, we'll rewind to talk about stuff. So Kirby Dach got injured, like the first game of the season?
What, for the Habs?
The second game. Yeah.
Does he have a brother on the Blackhawks?
He might.
There's another person. You're not going to sing to me, are you?
I might.
There's another kid who was in their prospect camp whose last name is Doc, same spelling.
I mean, the way that these families are going nowadays, it would not surprise me. Colton Doc, according to Evan. Are they related?
Dude. You guys are talking to each other behind the scenes. I can't read that shit.
You're supposed to be there already.
I forgot.
It is Kirby's brother.
Okay.
It's a forward with the Seattle Thunderbirds in the Western Hockey League.
Walk.
Gotcha.
Slowly.
So you're right.
Yeah.
Went to
Colton Doc broke his foot.
Nope. Kirby Doc.
Stop talking. I'm gonna reel this back for a second.
Yeah, you do that.
Kirby Doc got hurt.
He's out. Seems like, you know, indefinitely, because at least for this season, he tore his ACL and MCL, as you're familiar with.
Oh fuck yeah! I mean, he'll be out for at least, you know, a couple weekends after that.
Well, in due for a sharpening time, he will be gone for one episode, or like half an episode.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's out. Some of the interesting, Anthony Mantha is a healthy scratch for the Washington Capitals.
Does that mean that because Jacob Vrana would have to be too, because everyone likes to point out that everything they do is on the exact same pace. They get hurt at the same time. They get benched at the same time. You know, they both finish at the same time. Shower together. You know,
probably.
These are rumors.
Very substantial rumors.
Rumors.
But yeah, he got beaten out by some rookie that came into camp and played really well, and I guess Mantha just hasn't been cutting it.
His whole fucking career, man. I can't go back and look at that trade again. Doesn't matter what it got Detroit. It's just what you spent to get that dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be an interesting trade tree one of these days. Do a big trade tree on extremely lopsided trades. Not ones that turned out lopsided way later, but ones that everyone knew were already lopsided, and then like trace the lineage that where it went from there and see how much worse it actually got. Are you going to eat that fly that landed on your microphone, or are you going to share?
Trying to. Oh, I got him. He did. Yeah, there would be some seriously crazy trees out there because there have been some very crazy trees. There's been some pretty lopsided trades in the even recent history where 3-4 years down the line, it's like that dude may as well be dead.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about, you know, how much people like mortgage their future when they throw draft picks in to those trades. Yeah. Like the Mantha one, it was a first? Was it a first and a second?
Was it?
It was Jacob Vrana, a first. It might have been like a first, a second, and a third, but I might be confusing that with when Vegas picked up Thomas Tatar. They gave up a first, a second, and a third.
Yeah, no, I think Mantha was Vrana, a second, and a fourth.
Okay, something like that.
Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, you can trace where they all came from. I mean, the first got packaged with something else, so they traded up, and Sebastian Kosa came from that one.
That was for
That's right. Mantha? Richard Panik played for us for a second.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
dude. Okay, I saw a meme, or it wasn't really a meme. It was a post by the Red Wings the other day, and it said it was a list of the starting roster in 2019. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
And it's like, all right, anybody who is still questioning where we're at as a team only 4 years later, look at who was on our roster opening night. We had Luke Glendening, second line wing, and Abdelkader was on the third line, and then it was like Bertuzzi, Larkin, who the hell would have been the top wing at that time?
Jesus, I don't fucking remember.
Yeah, anyway, it was
a top
wing. It
was
bad
for Detroit in 2019. Mantha.
Maybe it was Mantha.
Was it the Mantha Bertuzzi Larkin line was what they had for that little bit?
So in the second line, we still had Valtteri Filppula when we got him back.
Second stint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so clearly, there's, I don't understand them, but I mean, what else? First of all, when you're talking, at least for the TV aspect of it, okay, because going to games is fucking crazy expensive. I'm not going to say that that's not true. I'm not going to call it free entertainment. No. But largely, the fact that they exist and you can follow them is basically free entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you need to be? You need to be somewhere. You keep checking your watch, right? Like, the rebuilds, it's taking too long. Well, when you fucking break the team all the way down because you don't think at its core it's possible to do anything with this. So you're just going to waste the time a rebuild takes anyway to, in turn, pull an Ottawa and trade away your best guys and start all the fuck over again, right? So you may as well just set the ship on fire, let it sink, collect the insurance money, buy the wood to make a new one. I mean, it's going to take time, but now, yeah, dude. So screw that. Like you said, look at the roster now I'm impressed with the Red Wings because not only are they looking good, they're scoring as many goals as any team in the league right now. I think they have 19 goals in 4 games, and that's tied with the next teams. But there really is this sense when you watch like all the new guys, the new veterans playing, it really has this like the movie, like a sports movie where you go out and get all these ringers. It really was like a pile on of ringers. I mean, my God, did he pile on? There's so many new fucking guys. There's at least one new player on every line.
We got Jeff Petrie. We got
Comfer, Sprong.
Alex DeBrincat. Yeah, Sprong, Comfer. We
Shane
still have Copp. We
Gostisbehere,
have Perron.
Justin Hall.
Dude, so Klim Kostin has been awesome so
far.
Klim
Kostin, absolutely. Christian Fischer, I didn't know much from Christian Fischer, but he's a hard-nosed, ugly motherfucker. And he's really making that fourth line with what is it, like him and Perron and Veleno.
Well, Perron switches from he goes all over the place, especially
does.
Power plays on the first unit.
That and when we run the 7D and 11 forward thing.
Right.
Because you're going to have to double shift a forward.
But when we have the 12 forwards, lately I've really been liking Austin Czarnik in the way that he's already got I think he's got 1 goal, right?
At least a couple Czarnik up? Because Fabry got hurt already. No shit.
Fabry got hurt already, yeah, because he's fucking made of glass.
Yeah. But, okay, so it's Kostin, Fischer, and Veleno. That's been a real good fourth line with speed and size and
great
grip.
Season already.
Yeah.
He really does look like kind of like when Rasmussen really started coming into his own. That's what Veleno's at right now.
And I'm glad, Copp and Comfer are very comparable. There's alliteration for you. Very smart. I am smart.
But I am smart.
They're comparable players, and they got that size and speed. And before Rasmussen got hurt last year, he was having some real good chemistry with Copp. So to throw them on a line with Comfer.
Yeah.
And that means you have 3 viable centers on the same line, too. So you can all kind of interchange what's going on, which also tells us we got a lot more depth at center, too, because you're throwing 3 of your fucking centers on the same line and still being able to have good centers on all the other lines.
Well, that's the beauty, too, is that, you see a lot of the competition in drafting is around centers because almost every team in the league has an issue with it.
Right. And it's elite centers are extremely rare.
Elite centers
right-handed
and goaltending
top D-men
are the 2 hardest things to find.
And right-handed top defensemen.
Well, yeah, exactly. But
or just elite defensemen in general, obviously, too. Yeah. It doesn't matter what hand they are.
So you have a lot of teams gunning for the center position. Now that we pretty much have that covered, as our drafts, hopefully our picks get technically higher and higher in number as
Casper
we do better and better. We can focus more on those surrounding aspects, more wings, more D to come down the lineup, more goalies, because we're going to need to try to find a star goaltender. Granted, Reimer's been playing great, but we haven't really had like a standout star goalie since Dominik Hasek.
Yeah. Well, that goes with the wings and goaltending. You have that idea that, or this fake notion. A lot of people have shat on Chris Osgood, saying, "Oh, it's just because he had that amazing team in front of him that he was so successful." Well,
no, dude, he's a
bullshit,
4-time Stanley Cup winner.
3,
okay.
We got to remember that. But
you don't do that.
He's got over 400 wins in the NHL.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck all that. He's the worst goalie to win a cup. There's all garbage things that you've heard. But yeah, we have not had a franchise. Maybe we haven't needed quite a guy. I mean, a franchise goaltender is a rare thing, and people can win cups without him. But can they win multiple cups without him? You would have to call Ozzy something of a franchise guy because of that. But you're talking about like the Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, Marc-Andre Fleury type of goaltenders that we hope we got out of Sebastian Cossa, even though he had kind of a setback, not promising showing in the prospect tournament, which I don't really think means much.
No.
He still had not even had a season in the American League. So this year, he'll have a full shared season in the AHL. We'll see where it goes. Goalies, he's still only like 21 years old.
And he is it Trey Augustine? Is that the other goalie?
Mm-hmm.
They basically split time.
Just drafted him.
Right, but he's been playing with Cossa in wherever the hell he was playing before, for the A.
Well, he was for the Toledo Walleye in the ECHL.
Right, that's what it was. So
Cossa
were playing together on the Walleye, and they basically split the season. So
and then Cossa last year for the Walleye had they went on that record run where they won like 19 games in a row.
Yeah,
so I think he'll be okay. And when a goalie can be a rookie at age fucking 25, he's still got plenty of years to figure that shit out.
If anything, that's still young.
Right. But you're right. It's tough because it's like you're always going to think the clock is ticking. And because of that, you're not going to pass up on what you think are good opportunities to draft a goalie in these drafts. But every time you do that, it's another year along. So you're that much further in the rebuild. You're even considered out of the rebuild, and you just got another 18-year-old kid. So it's that much further from the time you're going to see him and he's going to help you. Right. But you're not planning on the franchise just disappearing, right? So you always got to have something for the future. Drafting is just fucking so hard, but it's the only way you can really build a winning team unless you're the Golden Knights. Then you can
pretty much.
Yeah. Then you can have an expansion draft, make your core trade and UFA sign half the league's captains. But
because not everybody could be as lucky and get the lottery fucking handed to them on a golden silver plated spoon.
Golden silver plated, handed it to him on a spoon. He was born with a silver platter up his ass.
Right.
We, of course, talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Edmonton Oilers, two franchises who at multiple intervals of being handed the top draft pick.
Fuck, even look at Buffalo.
Fuck Buffalo.
Well, yeah, but they're one of those teams. But I was more for, and I thought you were too, with the whole up the ass thing, talking about Chicago.
Oh, well, yeah, if you want to do a real good segue that makes sense, if you're if we're going to glorify things going up asses without warning or consent, you got to be talking about the Chicago Blackhawks.
And we are.
Yeah. That's probably the noise that, yeah.
Yeah, we went there. So
yeah, we went there.
Yeah, so I mean, watching a few games. I haven't watched any of the Hawks games so far. I've seen highlights, but that's about it. But the one preseason game that I did see, they happened to be playing the Wings, which is why I saw it.
Yeah.
Man, did they just suck Connor Bedard's balls all night. ESPN
I know.
Absolutely just That's all I talked about the whole time.
Yeah. It was Connor. What's his Bergram? Connor Bergram this, Conrad Begram that.
Well, the best part is that they actually, by like the second period, the end of the second, they started calling him just Connor. Like, you're already that familiar,
the newest
huh?
Connor. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. To break from that real quick, what's funny when they do that, like remember Henrik and Daniel, obviously, it made sense to call them that. When the Niedermeyers were on the same team, the announcers and often Doc Emmerich would say Scott, and he would and he would pass to Rob Niedermeyer, but he would call him Brother Rob, but he would say it in that way, and he's like, and he passes to Brother Rob, and it always just sounded like some fucking Irish monk. We had Brother Rob on the team. But yeah, so he's just Connor now.
Right.
And
he's
this
Connor.
was during the preseason.
Right. So it had been 3 non-season games in, and they were already calling him just by his first name, and every single time, so they had him on the power play at one point, and it would go to whomever in the corner, and then it would go across to the point, and then it would go to Connor Bedard. Like, he hasn't done shit. What are you excited about? He hasn't done anything yet.
He will, but the mere fact that he's out there is not enough to deserve the goal. Like, he will create his goals and everything.
Right.
Just
but
wait.
You don't do it for him. But yeah, just
I get it. You're excited. You would be totally fucking excited to have the first overall pick. Who made the team the season of his draft, because not every draft, even the first overall player, depending on the depth of the draft, even makes it. I don't think was it the Nico Hischier, Nolan Patrick. I don't remember who went third that year. That's a trivia question for you.
Yeah, but if anyone knows the answer, comment on our website.
Yeah. But Cale Makar went 4th overall that year. So if you redrafted, that's exactly who would go. But I don't think Nico Hischier even played in the league that first year. So they're not all the, but you don't always get the Jack Hughes draft. You don't always get the Austin Matthews.
No, or the Connor McDavid draft, or Sidney Crosby, or God forbid, some of them, Vasilevsky.
Hell, some of them, you will get that, but not in the way that you planned. If you're the team that got the first overall pick, and you fucked up, and the team that picked 5th overall now has this stud,
right?
While you twiddle your thumbs, and it's a good thing we no longer have a league the way it used to be, where you can just give all these signing bonuses to a kid for his first contract.
Anything about him.
Right. It's a very good system. The NHL does a lot of suspect garbage, but the great equalizer of the 3-year entry-level deal.
Yeah,
for
that is
all players is
probably
a good
one of the best things
move
they've ever implemented.
Yeah, I think so
because
too.
There are so many cases of prior to the lockout, especially, where you'd have guys getting, look at the Kovalchuk deal that New Jersey tried to pull.
Yeah, right.
Was it 17 seasons?
17 years, yeah.
17
and he was already in the league for his 7th or 8th year.
Right, he was already 31 years old.
He's the next Gordie
crazy.
Howe, he's just going to play 17 years. Fucking absurd.
Yeah, it would have ended when he was 42 or maybe even older than that.
Hey, way older than that. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it would have been insane.
Either way, yeah.
There's not even you're not using any tact whatsoever to try and circumvent the salary cap.
I think it was $110 million for 17 years. Something stupid. And the NHL said no.
And what they do is they front load that money, because salary cap is based off of annual average.
Right.
So if he was making out of all that, let's say he was making $16 million for the first couple years. And then the last 8 years of the fucking deal, he was making, $925,000. That averages out to like a $7.5 million average every year. So that falls under the cap. You can handle $7.25 million. You can't handle $16 million.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But then they know that it's like, well, you added all those extra years onto the end of that contract to bring the average down. But he's not going to be playing those years. We all know that. He's not going to play till he's 50 fucking 2 years old.
So that actually brings me to, I wanted to talk about some of the worst first overall picks in NHL history.
Oh, yeah. I could think of a couple. Who you got?
Well, so most of this info I got from Bleacher Report article titled 10 worst first overall draft picks in the NHL history.
That's a good place to start.
And then the rest of the stuff I got from NHL.com, just like stats and shit. So the one that this reminds me of what we were talking about with the salary aspect of it, I categorize as the biggest managerial fail involving a first overall draft pick. And that belongs to Rick DiPietro and the New York Islanders.
Yeah. I believe they're still paying him.
They are still paying him. So he was drafted in 2000. And my note here just says in all caps, don't pick goalie first overall. So apparently before they drafted him, he played really well for the US at the World Junior Championships and at Boston University, where he was awarded MVP and best goaltender at the Beanpot tournament. Whatever the fuck that is.
That's where like the Boston area colleges play each other for like a turn. It's like the Great Lakes, but it's out there. You know what I mean?
Okay, knowing that, it's almost more far-fetched to draft him based on that as your secondary example of how good he is when it's this enclosed bubble of just East Coast, possibly just Boston teams.
Let me ask you something. Was Mike Milbury still the GM/coach of the Islanders when they drafted him? Because he was
2000?
The last example of that in league history. Because it used to be really common where the coach was a GM.
Oh, yeah, all the time. Eddie Shore once
died out. Right. It died out rightfully. And Milbury with the Islanders hung on way late.
Well, it could have been because Mike Milbury
made some bad decisions.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah.
So the craziest, or one of the craziest things, there's so many crazy things involved in this, but so they had drafted Roberto Luongo 3 years prior.
Yeah.
And Luongo went on to win, I think it was 489 NHL games.
Yeah.
Without being on the Islanders because they traded his ass the day that they drafted DiPietro. The same
we got it all
day.
Figured out, man.
Yep.
We're good.
We know exactly that this kid is going to be worth it. So they signed him to in 2006. So give him that much credit. They waited 6 years. They signed him to a 15-year, $67.5 million contract. And this was after
15 years for a goalie.
I believe his first 2 seasons he played 63 games. His third season he played 62. Now I wrote this down because this is crazy. He played what?
300 something games.
Like 13 seasons. And like 300 plus games. He only had 1 season at over 500. That's not good.
Yeah, he's just under 500 for his career, it says.
Yeah.
Well, then he was made out of glass, dude.
Right. No,
that was one of the main reasons that drafting him first overall and signing him for such a ridiculous contract that the NHL this time didn't step in and save their asses and say no.
Right.
No, they let him stick with it.
So they bought him out in 2013, and they're still paying him $1.5 million per year until 2029.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. And this, I love these little tidbits that Bleacher Report had on here because it really just adds some insult to injury, pour some salt on that wound.
Yeah.
To draft DiPietro, the Islanders passed up possibly Danny Heatley, Marion Gaborik, Scott Hartnell, and Justin Williams were 4 of the top draft picks that year.
Yeah, all for this shitty goalie. And they already had a franchise goalie. Right. Roberto Luongo went on to be a fucking franchise goalie for Vancouver, and in the later years when he went didn't he go to Florida and then Vancouver and then back to Florida?
He ended in Florida for the Panthers. So I think this is the worst part of it, which is just totally dumb luck, but Henrik Lundqvist was picked 205th overall in the 7th round that year.
Mm-hmm.
And look at all his cups.
Yeah, look at them cups.
They're all made.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have 2 more of these. Second one I deemed biggest disappointment as a first overall pick.
Mm.
And that would be Alexander Daigle. Daigle.
Dag.
Definitely not Dangle. Yeah, Daigle.
It's just drafted pronounced Dag.
93.
Are you listening to me?
Dag.
I'm about to unload. It's Dag.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is.
Either way. Shut up.
Yeah.
Alexander Dag, drafted in 93 by the Ottawa Senators. He was supposed to be a franchise player. And so much so that they actually got multiple offers for other teams to trade up to that spot that they declined because they wanted this dude so bad. And rightfully so, because he had, what does it say? 247 points in 119 games with Victoriaville in the QMJHL.
So were people surprised that anyone would ever decline trading away a first overall pick?
I guess in hindsight, yes, but obviously in the moment, no. Fuck no.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who you fucking pick. You're the
first overall pick. Why would you ever trade that away?
Yeah.
Unless you get
I'm sure people ask all the time, but it's just a ridiculous concept that you're going to do that.
Unless you're playing NHL 21 and you're just trying to get whatever you want.
Well, I said I can think of like that year, like I said, Nico Hischier year.
Right.
If they you know what they could have got?
They could have got Cale Makar.
They could have got Cale Makar 4th overall and probably the second and third picks. Probably would have traded the second and third picks to get the first fucking pick.
That's usually how it goes. So yeah, they'd probably already be a deep playoff contender by now if they had done that. Not to say Hischier's a bad player or anything, but not first overall material.
Yeah, that made it look like a weak draft, but in fact, it really wasn't. They just did it in the wrong fucking order. So
yeah. So the one plus was that they signed him to a 5-year, $12.5 million contract. Not that bad. Not that much money. He got traded a bunch after he only scored 74 goals in 301 games for Ottawa. And his totals for his whole career, he played 616 games. He had 327 points, so like slightly over 0.5 points per game.
You know, I read about this dude, and it's like he didn't have abysmal numbers,
Right.
but it was just the fact that you took him first overall. It did not turn out for what they paid him.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
And compared to his numbers in juniors, that's why I deemed it the biggest disappointment, because comparatively,
it's a
huge drop
fucking
off.
fall off. Right.
Yeah. So
fall off, drop off. What do you want?
Players that could have been picked otherwise. Number 2 in that draft was Chris Pronger. And number four was Paul Correa.
Yeah. Yeah. So those guys pick which one could have been. They fucked up big time.
Right.
And that's why a team like Ottawa, they had their moment in the sun. They had a chance to shine. The first, like you picked first overall, and you fucked it up.
Yep.
Was that what? Erik Karlsson, was he a first overall or like a second?
I want to say it was second.
I'm gonna ask So who's your?
So yeah, that brings me to
your
the
worst
absolute
shit man.
Worst first overall pick in history, and I think we can both agree on this one. Nail Yakupov.
Yes. Mr. Attitude.
And I wrote here in parentheses, since stats have been recorded, I bet there were other worse ones since the draft started. And when did the draft start?
I don't know when the draft started.
It was early.
But
I want to say it was like the 40s.
I don't even think that's true.
No? Later than that?
No. That's why, way later than that. Because even like the Bobby...
Okay,
yeah,
no, 1963. Still has a long fucking time. Anyway.
Yeah, because they didn't... but the stories of like how... think about the original 6, like when the Canadians just won cups all the time. How the hell did they draft all these guys? It's like it was just scouting, and you basically walk up to the parents and be like, "Yeah, that your kid's 14. He'll look good as property of the Canadians for the next 7 fucking years."
Yep.
Stamkos was first overall.
Stamkos was the first.
That Karlsson,
Karlsson was second.
I don't know. Hold on, I'm looking. I know that was a deep draft. That was like Phil Kessel went like 14th, and everyone thought he was gonna go. Anyway, continue.
So if you look at his stats prior to the NHL, not crazy impressive. He had 80 goals in 2 seasons with Sarnia. So I think that just kind of tells you that this was not a super deep draft in 2012. Granted.
Sorry, speaking of real quick, 15th overall, Erik Karlsson.
Karlsson? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wasn't Vasilevsky drafted in 2012?
Yeah, he could have been.
I want to say he was.
Yeah, there's some...
that could have... There were some decent ones in 2012, if not pretty damn good players who they passed up for.
They say 2003 is the best draft ever. Outside of... 89. Because 89...
Right, 89
maybe just for
insane.
the wings. Just for the wings, it was the best draft ever. Because you got Fedorov, Konstantinov, and Lidstrom.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
but Nail Yakupov was a shit clapper.
He sucked. So he was the 3rd consecutive first overall pick for the Oilers.
Oh, those fucks.
After Taylor Hall in 2010 and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in 2011. And his rookie season, not bad. He had 17 goals in 48 games, and it landed him 5th in Calder voting.
Yeah.
So not terrible for a rookie, but he didn't score much after that, because in 204 games with the Oilers, he only had 33 goals.
Oh, yeah. I remember a quote when he went to St. Louis. It was, "I don't know what winning is."
Oh, poor baby. Is it? Yeah, the Uncle Sean thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what winning is. But Brian Burke was, I forget who he was managing at the time. Either the Leafs or the Canucks. But he's got a story of, okay, so you're not going to get the first overall pick probably based off of your lottery chances. But still, you talk to everybody, right? Famously, lately, the Red Wings talked to Connor Bedard to ask him questions about players he found the most difficult to play against. He said Nate Danielson, so we picked him.
Yep.
Right? You find shit out in these meetings. So Nail Yakupov was like dismissive by the time the third and fourth teams came around to talk to him, because he was like, why am I talking to you? I already know where you're probably going to pick, and you're not picking first, and I know I'm going first. So like his attitude just sucked. He was just a pretentious little, dickweed.
Well,
and
it makes sense.
Hockey gods ate him alive.
Yeah. He played 350 games. He had 136 points. So less than half a point per game. And he ended his career with a plus-minus rating of -89.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. Flew to Thailand. Sex with a 12-year. Oh, boy. Very compassionate, Mr. Bryce.
Yep. And
I see we haven't lost our touch. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
I'd say about 30% of that was salvageable.
All right. Good night.
Nobody knows what the fuck we're talking about. Yeah, look how bad. I remember this. Nikita Filatov, 6th overall by the Blue Jackets. Russian kid. Does Podkolzin play for the Canucks? Is he even in the mix? He was picked like 3rd or 4th overall a couple years ago.
I haven't.
But anyway, this Filatov, they were high on him. One of the weirdest stories ever, because I think he may have played like 2 or 3, but I want to say even there's a chance he played 1 NHL game, because he like got hurt after that and then went back to Russia. He scored a hat trick in his first game with the Blue Jackets.
Nice.
As like a 18-year-old, and never cracked the lineup again. It's fucking, just weird shit, dude. It goes to show that like one showing is not enough.
No,
to get you anywhere, unless you're the Islanders or the Senators in the 90s.
Right?
Because then like no showings will get you a 15-year contract.
Yeah, or the Wild, or any one of those just bad at drafting.
Yeah. Wow, just bad draft picks on here. Yep. Anyway, remember when Darren Pang, real quick, was referring to PK Subban when he was young, and like this is your classic bullshit where someone's like, he's a good kid, but like he's a little bit outlandish. And then you look at another guy who's in his same vein as Alex Pietrangelo, like he's stoic, he's got good manners, he shows up to the gym to work hard, and he does things the right way. And no, he literally said that, dude. Look that video up.
That,
he fucking he said he does things the right way. And then after a commercial break, they had to get right. They had to come back, and they were like, he obviously didn't mean that, made a mistake. And he's like, yeah, I feel sick to my stomach. It's like, it's funny how as long as you didn't say a word that gave it away, like doing something the right way, the rest of it was okay.
What you meant.
Right.
Because
what you're saying. There's literally nothing wrong
black,
with the right.
And Pietrangelo is white.
And so like, because he's black, I hate the fact that he's got charisma. I want him to be like this silent white chode over here with his fucking Johnny Unitas haircut.
There's a haircut you could set your watch to.
Look at them sideburns. He looks like a girl. So it's 11:02. Do you know where your children ams?
Probably eating candy because it's Halloween tomorrow.
Right, because this is today.
Yep.
Yeah, what day is it? Yesterday?
Happy Candy Day, everybody.
No, sir, it's today. Oh, yeah, of course it is.
If you do want to give away drugs in your candy bowl, wait till I show up.
No, yeah, because if you're gonna do drugs, replace them. And good nizzle.
And cut.